You're scrolling through your phone at midnight. You see people posting their achievements, their perfect relationships, their dream vacations, and something inside you whispers, "What's the point?" Not in a sad way necessarily. Just genuinely, what's the point of any of this? You work hard to buy things you don't need. You chase goals that society told you matter. You perform happiness on social media. You follow rules you never agreed to. And somewhere deep down, in a place you rarely acknowledge, you wonder if maybe, just maybe, none of it actually means anything. Welcome to Mind in Exile. And today we're going to talk about the philosophy that terrifies most people, but secretly resonates with almost everyone. It's called nihilism. And before you close this video thinking it's going to be some depressing rant about how life is meaningless, so why bother? Stick with me. Because nihilism isn't what you think it is. And understanding it might actually set you free in a way nothing else can. Let me start with a story. There's this moment that happens to almost everyone at some point in their life. You're doing something you've done 1,000 times before. Maybe you're at work or stuck in traffic or having dinner with your family. And suddenly out of nowhere you get hit with this overwhelming sense of doing this. Not just this specific thing, but everything. Why do I wake up every day and repeat the same routines? Why do I care about things that won't matter in 100 years? Why does anyone do anything? It's like you're watching yourself from outside your body, and you realize none of this was your choice. You didn't choose to be born. You didn't choose the society you were born into or the values it taught you. You didn't choose most of your beliefs. They were just installed in you, like software. And now you're running programs you never agreed to download, and the question hits you like a truck. If I didn't choose any of this, if it's all just arbitrary, then what's the actual point? That question, that simple childlike why, that's where nihilism begins. Not with some complicated philosophical argument, but with that basic, terrifying, honest question. Why? Now the word nihilism comes from the Latin word nihil, which just means nothing. So nihilism is literally the ideology of nothing, the belief in nothing. And I know that sounds dramatic and edgy, like something a teenager would say to sound deep, but bear with me because this goes way deeper than you think. Let's talk about what nihilism actually is, and maybe more importantly, what it's not. Because people confuse nihilism with a lot of things. They think it's the same as being pessimistic, where you just assume everything will turn out bad. But that's not it. Pessimists still believe in good and bad outcomes. They just think the bad ones are more likely. Nihilists don't believe in good or bad at all. There's no such thing as a good outcome or a bad outcome. There's just outcomes, and none of them matter more than any other. People also confuse nihilism with cynicism. You know, that attitude where you assume everyone's just out for themselves, everyone's got ulterior motives, trust no one. But cynics still believe in self-interest. They believe people are motivated by something, even if it's selfish. Nihilists don't believe people are motivated by anything meaningful. Your self-interest is just as arbitrary as anything else. And then there's apathy, where you just don't care, you're checked out, life's happening around you, but you're not really invested. That's closer to nihilism, but still not quite it. Because apathy is a feeling. It's an emotional state. Nihilism is a realization. It's not that you don't care about meaning, it's that you've looked for meaning and concluded it doesn't exist. It's not a mood, it's a conclusion. So what does nihilism actually say? At its core, nihilism says that life has no inherent meaning, purpose, or value. Nothing you do matters in any objective sense. There's no cosmic scoreboard. There's no ultimate judge deciding if you lived a good life or a bad life. There's no grand narrative where you're playing an important role. You're just here, temporarily, in a universe that doesn't care about you, didn't create you for a reason, and won't remember you when you're gone. And look, I get it, that sounds depressing as hell. That sounds like the kind of thing that would make someone give up on everything. And honestly, for some people, it does. That's the danger of nihilism. Once you see it, once you really accept that nothing has inherent meaning, it can be paralyzing. Why get out of bed? Why try to achieve anything? Why not just, I don't know, lie on the couch and stare at the ceiling until you die? If nothing matters, why does anything I do matter? But here's where it gets interesting, because nihilism comes in different flavors. There's political nihilism, which says all political systems are meaningless constructs that should be destroyed. There's ethical nihilism, which says there's no such thing as objective morality, no real right or wrong. And then there's existential nihilism, which is the big one. The one that says your individual existence has no purpose. You're not here for a reason. You're just here. Now, before you spiral into an existential crisis, let me tell you about a guy who thought a lot about this stuff. Friedrich Nietzsche. You've probably heard the phrase, God is dead. That was him. And people misunderstand what he meant by that. He wasn't celebrating. He wasn't being edgy. He was actually terrified. Because Nietzsche realized something that most people in the 1800s hadn't fully grasped yet, that Western civilization was built on Christianity. And whether you believed in God or not, Christian values shaped everything. How you thought about right and wrong, how you thought about life's purpose, how you organized society. And Nietzsche saw that religion was dying. Science was explaining things that used to require God. People were questioning their beliefs. And he predicted that when God died, when that foundation crumbled, Western civilization would face a crisis unlike anything it had seen before. Because if there's no God, if there's no divine authority telling us what's right and wrong, what's the purpose of life, why we're here, then what? We're left with nothing. Nihilism. But here's the twist. Nietzsche didn't want people to wallow in nihilism. He saw it as a transitional phase. Like, yes, the old beliefs are dying. Yes, we're facing this void where meaning used to be. But that's not the end. That's the beginning. Because now, for the first time in history, humans are free to create their own meaning. We're not bound by some external authority. We get to decide what matters. He called this the Übermensch, the overman. Though honestly, that translation makes it sound way more Nazi-ish than he intended. The idea was just someone who creates their own values instead of inheriting them. Someone who looks at the meaningless universe and says, okay, nothing matters inherently, so I get to decide what matters to me. And that's not weakness, that's the ultimate strength, that's freedom. But let's be real, that's easier said than done. Because here's the problem. You can intellectually accept that nothing has inherent meaning. You can say, okay, I get it, the universe doesn't care, there's no cosmic purpose, but you still have to get up tomorrow, you still have to make choices. And if nothing really matters, how do you choose? Do you pursue pleasure? Do you try to reduce suffering? Do you create art? Do you help people? Do you just do whatever feels good in the moment? Like, practically speaking, how do you live when you've accepted that nothing matters? And this is where people usually turn to one of two paths. Either they retreat back into some belief system, some ideology or religion that gives them meaning, even if they have to sort of squint and pretend to really believe it, or they sink into despair and genuinely struggle to function. Because humans need meaning. We're meaning-making machines. We can't help it. Even when we know intellectually that meaning is constructed, we still crave it. There's this fascinating thing about human psychology. We can't actually live in a state of pure meaninglessness for very long. It breaks us. Even people who claim to be nihilists, if you watch their behavior, they act like things matter. They get upset when bad things happen. They feel joy when good things happen. They make plans for the future. They care about stuff. Because that's just how humans work. We're wired to find patterns, to create narratives, to assign meaning even when we know we're making it up. So here's the uncomfortable truth that nihilists have to face. Even if you accept that nothing matters objectively, you still live as if things matter subjectively. You still feel pain. You still feel pleasure. You still have preferences. You'd rather be happy than miserable, even though happiness doesn't mean anything in a cosmic sense. And that creates this weird tension. This gap between what you know intellectually and how you actually live. Albert Camus, another philosopher who wrestled with this stuff, called it the absurd. The absurd is the conflict between humans desperately searching for meaning and a universe that offers none. It's absurd, like a cosmic joke. You're programmed to seek purpose in a purposeless existence. And Camus said you have three options. You can deny the absurd by taking a leap of faith into religion or some ideology. You can surrender to the absurd by giving up, by suicide, by just checking out. Or And this is what he advocated for. You can accept the absurd and rebel against it. What does that mean? It means you acknowledge that life is meaningless, but you choose to live fully anyway. Not because there's a reason to, but because that's the ultimate act of defiance. The universe says nothing matters? Fine. I'm going to create my own meaning. I'm going to experience everything I can. I'm going to laugh at the absurdity of it all. I'm going to live so intensely that meaning emerges from the act of living itself. Camus used the myth of Sisyphus to explain this. You know the story. Sisyphus is condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a hill forever. Every time he gets it to the top, it rolls back down, and he has to start over. It's the ultimate meaningless task. But Camus says, imagine Sisyphus happy. Imagine him finding joy in the struggle itself. Not because the struggle leads anywhere, but because the struggle is all there is. And in that acceptance, in that rebellion, there's a kind of freedom. Now you might be thinking, okay, but that still sounds kind of bleak, like great, life is meaningless, but I should pretend it matters and just push my boulder up the hill and be happy about it. That's the big solution? And look, I get the skepticism, but think about it this way. Right now in your actual life, what gives you meaning? Probably relationships, experiences, creating something, learning something, helping someone, small moments of beauty or connection. And here's the thing, none of that stuff matters in a cosmic sense. The universe doesn't care if you spent quality time with your kid, or if you made someone laugh, or if you saw a beautiful sunset, but it matters to you in that moment. And maybe that's enough. Because the alternative is what? Spend your life chasing some external validation that never comes? Follow some rule book written by people who died thousands of years ago? Constantly measure yourself against arbitrary standards and feel inadequate? At least nihilism frees you from that. At least nihilism says, you know what? None of those external measures matter. So stop trying to live up to them. Do what feels meaningful to you, even if you can't justify why it's meaningful. Here's something wild. In our current moment, nihilism is kind of everywhere. We're living through what some people call a meaning crisis. Traditional institutions are crumbling. Religion is declining in most developed countries. Political systems seem broken. Career paths that used to give people identity don't anymore. The nuclear family structure has changed. Even gender roles have been questioned and redefined. Every stable source of meaning that previous generations had, we've interrogated and dismantled. And that's not necessarily bad. A lot of those structures were oppressive. They hurt people. They needed to be questioned. But we haven't replaced them with anything. We've just cleared the field, and now we're standing in this open space going, okay, now what? What do we build? What do we believe in? And in that vacuum, you see a lot of people grasping for anything that feels solid. Conspiracy theories, political extremism, cult-like devotion to celebrities or ideologies, even really intense fandoms. Because people need meaning, and if they can't find it in traditional places, they'll create it anywhere they can. But here's the thing about manufactured meaning. It's fragile. As soon as you examine it too closely, as soon as you ask why this arbitrary thing matters, it starts to crumble, and you're back where you started, in the void, facing the nothing. So what's the solution? Honestly, there might not be one universal solution, because different people need different things. Some people genuinely can believe in religion and that works for them, good for them, seriously. Some people can pour themselves into a cause or a mission and find meaning there, great. Some people can just embrace the absurdity and find freedom in meaninglessness. But if you're someone who's felt that nihilistic pull, who's asked those why questions and found the answers unsatisfying, here's what I think might help. Stop looking for meaning out there. Stop expecting the universe to hand you a purpose. Stop waiting for some external authority to tell you what matters, because it's not coming. The universe is indifferent. Society is just a collection of people as confused as you are. Even your parents, your teachers, your leaders, they're all just making it up as they go. So make it up yourself. Consciously, deliberately, choose what you care about, not because it's objectively important, but because you're deciding it's important to you. And yeah, that's scary. That's a lot of responsibility, but it's also the only real freedom there is. Nietzsche said something interesting. He said the secret to the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment of existence is to live dangerously. And I think part of what he meant is live without the safety net of predetermined meaning. Take the risk of creating your own values. Be okay with the possibility that you might choose wrong. Because even a wrong choice that you made is more authentic than a right choice someone else made for you. Look, nihilism is uncomfortable. It removes the comforting illusions. It takes away the certainty. It leaves you alone with the raw fact of existence without any instruction manual. And for some people, that's too much. They need to believe in something bigger. And that's okay. I'm not here to convert anyone to nihilism. But if you've already felt it, if you've already seen through the illusions and you can't unsee them, then don't fight it. Don't try to go back to believing things you don't believe. Instead, see it for what it is, an opportunity, a blank canvas, a life where you're not shackled to anyone else's idea of what matters. This is mind in exile. And maybe the exile is the point. Maybe you need to leave behind the comfortable meanings, the inherited purposes, the external validations. Maybe you need to wander in that meaningless desert for a while. Not forever, but long enough to realize that you don't need anyone to tell you what matters. You can figure that out yourself. And when you do, when you choose your own meaning in full awareness that it's arbitrary, that it's constructed, that it doesn't matter to anyone but you, something changes. It's not that life becomes meaningful in some cosmic sense. It's that you stop caring whether it does. You stop needing validation from the universe. You stop measuring your life against some impossible standard. You just live for whatever reasons you've decided matter to you. And you do it fully, consciously, without apology. Maybe nothing matters, but you're here anyway, and you get to decide what you do with that. And that choice, that radical freedom, that's both terrifying and beautiful. That's the uncomfortable truth. That's nihilism. Not as a philosophy of despair, but as a philosophy of radical, terrifying, exhilarating freedom. The boulder's at the bottom of the hill again. And you know it's going to roll back down no matter how many times you push it up. But you're going to push it anyway. Not because you have to, but because you're choosing to. And in that choice, in that moment of rebellion against meaninglessness, you're more alive than you've ever been. That's the secret nihilism doesn't tell you up front, that accepting nothing matters can paradoxically make everything matter more. Because now it matters on your terms. Now you're not performing for some cosmic audience. You're living for yourself. And maybe that's all the meaning you ever needed.